So, part 3 is gonna be about Friday. So, Friday, um, that was the day. That was the day I was finally seeing Chess, like, hearing all, like, how great, Raul is. Like, I've seen him in other performances, like, I've seen him, um, um, this is technically my ninth time seeing Raul in something. The first time was San Diego Comic Con, so that was for a panel, but that's another story for another time. But all the rest of the times, like the 8 other times, was him like either doing a reading or singing, so it was partially seeing perform. But this was like the first time ever seeing him in a show, and I was like excited. I'm finally gonna see this man perform. Like people have no idea like how long, like even though I've only been like a fan of his like since I think the end of 2015, so like relatively short within like his fandom, but I'm like, I need to see this man perform because he, like, everyone knows that I love Ben Folds. Like, Ben Folds is my music king, and Raul Esparza is my music prince. So if you see me talk with those terms, that's what I mean. And I'm like, and I know he's a fantastic actor, and he just puts himself all on stage, and I just need to, it's like witnessing a miracle, or I don't know what to say. So, um, another person that was sitting with me, sorry, that's my dog sneezing. Um, he's having a sneezing fit. It happens. Um, but so what did I do Friday? I think we just, oh, we went to the Smithsonian African American Museum, and go. It's really good. It's really informative, and I like with newer museums how it's interactive. Like you can like they had like different like albums and touch things, and you can write things. Like there's a couple of museums in New York City that do that. But if anybody does go to DC and wants to go see the African American Smithsonian Museum, you need to have a time ticket, and they do release like months in advance, and you have to get those right away, but they do same day. Only issue is they're at 6:30 in the morning, and thankfully Melissa is like an early bird. I'm not, and I'm sorry. um I'm not an early bird, so she got the tickets at 6:30. So we went there so we could like waste time, but then um and it's, when you visit everything in that museum, if you do take your time and read everything and look at all this stuff, it's a good 2.5 hour museum, like when you look at everything, and it's excellent. I'll probably give 5 out of 5 on TripAdvisor. um, but anyway, but then thankfully we brought our umbrellas because like the weather went from okay to like, oh my god, rainstorm. And it was kind of shitty, like walking from the um the museum um to back to the like the Foggy Bottom. um and it was windy and it was bad. We did get to see the White House, and there was like some protesters and stuff there, and that was pretty cool. Like, and we got to see other old buildings and buildings related to the Civil War, which I'm like a total geek over. um but then so we wasted time doing that, and just because the thing started at 7, and she because I had seats up close, like I made sure to get seats because I need to be like right there to see the show. And I always do that because when you sit so far away, sometimes you don't notice like the little things that Raul does, and oh my god, let me tell you. So 7 o'clock came in. I got my seat, and there was somebody else that I knew that I was sitting next to. So we were just like talking about how excited we were about this show, and she saw it the day before, so she knew what was going on. And oh my god, like as soon as it started, I was like, I knew I was gonna be in for a good time. Like you can just tell, like the dancers come out, and you can tell that they really enjoyed working for this show. Like sometimes when you watch stuff, you're like, you can tell like when like they're putting in the effort, but not like all the way. But these guys were like dancing and hopping and moving and this and that, and really good singers too. Um, and then when Raul came in as Freddy, oh my God, I swear to God, for like the entire 3 hours, I was like this the entire time. Like it's just like you like I love seeing him perform. I don't know. It's like I love performers who are just such showmen. Like they just put it all out there. That's why I also love Ben Folds, because he connects with the audience. Like he brings out all this energy, and so does Raul. Like he has this energy of let's have a good time. Like I want the audience to enjoy a good time. And this guy, he's like standing on chairs. He's like just strutting, swaying his hips, like he's just doing this. He's just like having a grand old time, because like a couple other reviewers said, like, Amanda and Erica and like everyone else, it's like it's been almost 6 years since he's been on stage. Like last time he was in a musical was Leap of Faith, and that unfortunately it was an unfortunate flop, and that makes me sad, and it makes him sad, and I know it makes Alan Menken sad. It only lasted like 2 weeks in Broadway, and that was in April, like, what was it? End of April, like beginning of May, I believe. I'm kind of iffy on the dates, but I know it was April, May-ish. So almost 6 years, and this time it's February. And he's just strutting it. It's like he didn't lose a beat with his performance, like performing. It's like he never left. Hopefully he found his baby. But anyway, he never lost a beat. He's just out there. He's out there performing, and oh God, like when I saw him, his vocals were so good. Like he was hitting the high notes where he need to hit them. Like Deal No Deal, and oh my God, One Night in Bangkok. Oh my, that's when I could feel myself blushing, because this man, he had like dancers grinding on him. He had like people, like dudes making out right in front of him. And he's like, yeah, welcome to the show. And oh my God, and like the one girl, and oh yeah, I forgot to mention this like before. The other person that I met from the show from last, like, the night before on Thursday, and I'm sitting there like, who is this chick? Who is this chick? I'm like, I seen her before. I'm like, where have I seen her? And then I'm like reading through her biography, and it said the Great Comet of 1812, but I didn't recognize her because in that show, because she's also a dancer. She was also a dancer and ensemble member for that show. She had pink hair, so that like sometimes when people like mess with their looks, I sometimes can't recognize them. And I'm like, oh my God! And she's like doing the same thing in Great Comet. Like there's a certain section like called the opera. If I'm remembering, I'm so terrible. Where they're doing like all kinds of sexual acts, like like pretending to blow each other and doing this and whatever. She was doing the same thing in that show, and she's doing it here, and I'm like thinking like, oh my God, it's like, is she getting like flashbacks to Great Comet with, even though it's with Raul? But and she's like grinding on his crotch, and like that other dude, the one guy where he just like backs his ass up into his crotch. I'm like, oh my, I'm like, this dude's living the dream. And I'm like, oh, and I'm like sitting, and I feel like such a 12-year-old, and I'm like, oh my God, like I was like, I feel like I'm watching a peep show, watching One Night in Bangkok. and, but he was just like, he was just having a ball. And then, oh my God, and then later on when like Pity the Child came on, I wish that he could get like a Tony just for that. Like give him the who cares about the rules? Who care? I don't care because it's not on Broadway. Who cares? Give him the Tony, give him the Emmys, give him the Oscars, give him like all, like give him a Grammy, give him like give give him all the major awards. Who cares? It was so good, and he put all of his heart into it. Like it was like an emotional roller coaster. Like there was sadness, there was grief, there was like um happiness, there was like disappointment, like everything in this song. Like even though Freddie is an asshole, it kind of explains why he became an asshole. It was like, and it always happens, like, oh, here comes an asshole character that Raul plays, but then you find out stuff about him that you feel bad, and you're like, I love him, even though he's a butt. um, but it was so, and like, when I saw him, he could reach the notes. He really could. But then when, through other means. Oh, also, because when I saw him on the Saturday matinee, he was holding back. So that, I think between Friday and that next morning, that's, I think, when the colds, like the throat infection was really hitting him. So I think, and he was holding back on the Saturday matinee. And then when I was listening to other versions of Pity the Child, he was really holding back. And then Sunday, like Sunday matinee, and then especially Sunday night, his voice was gone. He could not. And I know he can hit those, because we've all, like, if you're a fan of Raul's and you just listen to like a billion songs of his, you know he can hit those. He can hit those falsettos. He can hit those notes. He can hit those octaves, and he could not. His voice was dead, but he was giving it his all, and I bless him for it. So but when he wasn't when it wasn't his part and he was on stage like sitting in the chairs, I was just watching him. It was fun. Like, that was the other fun part of the show too, was just watching him. I did that especially on the Saturday matinee. Like he would like fidget with his book, and he was like, I wish I had something to um just say this is the book, like, because all the singers, like the main singers, had like a book, so they would hold it and use it as props and stuff. And he was like tapping in time with the tempo, like it was a dun 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 dun, and he was like doing this number along the spine of the book, and he was also like, oh, and then when Bryce, like, I think of this all the time, is like the cutest thing, because I don't, maybe if, I think most people know, especially if they're watching this, or they are watching this, um, um, Raul, like 15 years prior, was in chess also, and he was the arbiter. So when Bryce Pinkham was the arbiter, I mean, that man was just. I'll do another video on like the rest, but this is just like Raul and the entire experience. But anyway, um, when he was watching, there was one point where Bryce, he would like kick his legs and stuff, but he was like doing these thrusting moves, and like he was doing all these moves, and like Raul was like trying so hard. He was doing this number. He's like, and he was like trying so hard not to laugh. But then as soon as like Bryce did this thrusting thing, he just lost it, and he did this like. It's hard to explain. Like if people seen him before and he knows his different laughs, he has this one laugh where he's like, ha ha, and he did that on stage, and he realized what he did, and as soon as that happened, he was like, oh my god. And then like it was just hilarious, and I love that Raul, like, he was like supporting his other like co-stars, especially I mean all of them, but especially like Karen and Ramin, but also Bryce. And I was like, oh, the old time arbiter is supporting the new arbiter, and I'm like, that is so cute. But Raul killed it. I mean, I think, and listening to the other versions of chess, especially especially One Night in Bangkok, and I'm not being biased at all. This is just listening from Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, like, because I was there for Saturday night, and Sunday, the Sunday night. His peak performance was Friday, and that's not me being biased at all, because I attended Friday. It's just from listening to the other nights. I forget what number am I at. I think I'll do a part 4 to describe all the other things.